Good evening. My name is Christopher Shannon. I'm the head of school at LCC. And in a million years ago, I was also a graduate of this one-year program. Interestingly, I did come and do have the one-year program. And I am the parent of two students, one who did the one-year program and one who was here as an LCC student prior to that. So this evening, you're going to meet a number of people. You're going to hear from our Director of Admissions, Ms. Levy. You'll hear from Ms. Owen and Ms. Tulloch, who are our college counselors, and Ms. Tulloch is also our PRIU coordinator, and she has that role of working very, very closely with all of the PRIU students. You're going to hear from a student named Carl, and Lauren, I believe, is the other student who will be speaking. So you'll have some students' perspective as well. I think that's quite important. But just in terms of housekeeping, you'll look at the bottom of your screen, and if it's not visible, if you scroll down, you'll see that there is a chat, there is a Q&A box, and in the Q&A, as things progress, you can post questions and we can answer them, maybe not immediately, but throughout the evening, we'll make sure your questions are answered. So it's a pretty good way to make sure that all of your queries are actually addressed this evening. So we are aware that some of you maybe know intimately, in fact, you may be parents of students who already came to this program, or you may be brand new to the school. You don't know much about LCC. You don't know much about the PRIU program. And I think it's quite a unique program. It's a very unique program in our city. It's been around for a very long time. And for many, many years, this program was a program where the students had to leave the province of Quebec. It was the equivalent of a grade 12 in Canada, in other provinces. But for a number of years now, we have had recognition from McGill University and others in Quebec, where it is pre-university literally everywhere around the world, and it means that we can prepare students to get ready for that university experience. It's a very collegial community. I think we have some outstanding faculty and staff who I think provide the right kind of direction, support, teaching, guidance, advising, for students who are really have the goal of getting to university within a year, some of whom may even take a gap year, which is very, very popular in Britain, but take a year in between. But the goal is to help them be ready academically, socially, and emotionally for the reality of being at university. It is very much suitable for students, and there may be students watching, and I hope there are this evening, who have university in their sights, and you see 2 years from now, this is where I think I'd like to be, and really are self-starters who are accountable for themselves and really feel that with the right supports can actually have a very successful year in preparation for university. The program is small, and I think that's one of our strengths. There's usually between 55 and 65 students. It is particularly personal. There are a lot of choices in terms of courses, and you'll hear that tonight in terms of some of the course options. And I think that the students find out very quickly that between each other, their peers, and their teachers, and their advisors, and the administrators who are associated to the program, that people are generally pulling and swimming in the same direction. And that kind of support, I think, is very encouraging for the students, and we've seen that over the years as they prepare to go to university. We can very much individualize, especially as students begin the exercise of considering where is it they'd like to go for university. And there are often a number of students who really don't know. They know what their interests are, but they can work with our guidance people to try and figure out a pathway. And often students, when they begin the exercise of doing the university application process, they come out the other end of that saying, look, here's a program that is very interesting to me and I didn't even know about it. So we think that that's important. We have a very, very skilled university guidance team who are very familiar with emerging programs, longstanding programs, and shifts in the university landscape. As you well know, I hope, it's a one-year program. It's no longer Quebec High School. And with that label of pre-university, grade 12, but pre-university as we call it, there are expectations of a certain degree of independence. That means as well that the students attend classes when they have them. People aren't chasing them. We want to pay attention that there's consistency in attendance, but we do give the students a sense of accountability and responsibility, both of them. Again, we expect that whether it's personal behavior, academic behavior, full involvement in the co-curriculars, or their university selection and application process, that we have mature young people who really are collaborating together as a class, but also with their advisors and their counselors about how to get to the programs of their choice in the following year. The students know we have that goal. The teachers know we have that goal. So we're very proud that indeed that we think we have a very unique program, which has really been around for a long time. And we've learned a lot over the decades of offering this program. So the fearless leader of our PRIU program is Ms. Tulloch. And I say that with a smile, but I also say it because she has a strong sense of connection to this age group and also to the ebbs and flows of the university selection process and that preparatory year. And indeed, it's a year that can go quite quickly, but at the same time, there are challenges, of course, because there's a rigor in the program that I think is noted by most of our students, but it's a good rigor. And I can tell you from the case of my kids who went through this program, that it prepared them very, very well for university. And both of them said it was a bit of a turning point in terms of really being ready for university after the Quebec high school experience. So I'm going to pass it on to Ms. Tulloch, who's now going to give you some more details of what we call the PRIU advantage. Ms. Tulloch.
Sorry, I have to practice unmuting. So hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon or this evening. Really appreciate you taking the time to hear about our PRIU program and learn more about what we have to offer as an alternative program post-secondary 5 here in Montreal. So as Mr. Shannon mentioned, we do have academic rigor is something that's really important within our curriculum, as it is a pre-university program, and we're looking to prepare students academically to be successful at university. So we do offer a grade 12 curriculum that is modeled after the Ontario grade 12, that also includes options for some advanced placement classes and also for international baccalaureate classes. So as an IB school, we do have the option for students to take in grade 12 who are coming in new to our school to take some of the IB options that we offer, and I'll give you I'll show some of those classes in a second. And what that means is kind of similar to the idea of an advanced placement class, where the student would write an external exam at the end of the school year and could earn a certificate in that particular course. And for a university, it's a way for them to see that a student has chosen an academically rigorous course option that was available to them. We're really fortunate to be small in that it means that we have smaller classes, but it also means that we have these teachers who get to really know their students in the classes. And our faculty in the PRIU program typically are our most experienced teachers. And so most of the department heads are teaching within the PRIU program, and really enjoy that opportunity to engage with the students and take their learning to the next level and teach in a way that's more similar to how you would be teaching in a college environment, where there's a lot of independence with this for the students to be working through their academic program independently. They're there for guidance. They provide, for example, office hours for students and make appointments with students to work with them on their work. So it's a really nice opportunity for students to get that start of a feeling of how they would navigate independently in their relationships with teachers as they would when they are off at university. Again, our class sizes are relatively small compared to maybe some other institutions. As this year, for example, we're 57 students in total in the class. And I think our smallest class is 5, but our largest class is 18. So it's nice for the students, again, to be able to get to know their peers, but also get to know their teachers more personally through the academic program. There's a lot of collaboration in our program, and a lot of the assessment and evaluations are designed for the students to be working together. Obviously, this year is a slightly different model for us because we are navigating an online platform to a greater extent than we've had to before. However, the students are encouraged to work together, and we've even created space virtually and physically for the students to be safely distanced, but able to work, for example, in a workroom together. We have some spaces for them to be able to collaborate on assignments. We had a big chalkboard in our main area where we hang out with the students that they would use, but we've actually created a chalkboard in the other room and have whiteboards and things like that for the students to be able to sort of actively work together and work through their assignments, but also do different types of assessments and evaluations together. We are a Mac school, so all of our students have Mac computers and are involved and use different types of software, and depending on what class they're in, so communications technology, for example, they learn to use the full Adobe suite and Photo Illustrator, and they learn how to edit, and so they're using different tools. But even in the math classes, they're using different types of software and technology as part of the integration as a functional tool as part of their academic program. So we do want the students to learn other skills that are going to be useful for them as they're moving forward onto the university. So our next slide here shows these are the classes that we're offering this year to our students. You can see that we have a range of subject areas. The only course that every student is required to take is actually English, because English is a prerequisite for any academic program at university. So we don't do a streaming process similar to what would be at CEGEP, where you pick like pure and applied or health sciences or commerce or something. The only required course is English. And then the students have the options to choose from. And the only restrictions on those are scheduling, because we can't have everybody take exactly what they want. There are some conflicts in the schedule, but also making sure that the students have the courses that they need for university. So the courses that we offer cover quite a range, which leaves opportunity for the students to access a wide range of university programs. So they're meeting their pre-university prerequisites, the courses that they need to be eligible for admission. And we provide guidance with the students on that through the course option selection, which happens in the spring before they start school in the fall. So in addition to English, we do have French. French is not a requirement, but we do have a number of students who like to continue on with French. Visual art is a studio art course. And then again, communications technology is sort of a multimedia course. I think Carl can talk to it a little bit in his part of the presentation, but the students are learning a lot about different communication styles and skills, but in addition, they're also learning about trends of media and communications and patterns and theory of communication. We have all the science courses that you would need to go into a health sciences, natural sciences, or an engineering like pure and applied science. So chemistry, physics, we have bio. We also offer introductory intro to kinesiology, which is a really of interest for a lot of our students who are off to do sort of a physical science or a biological science background. And then we also have an IB course in environmental systems and societies, which is an interesting combination of a science, an environmental science course, and an environmental studies. So it's a social science course mixed together. So they might be collecting samples of different soils or water, but they might also be discussing about the ethical implications of particular pesticides that you might use on your grass at home, and what does that mean for the environment in your community. We have a range of math courses. Calculus, advanced placement calculus is for students who would like an opportunity for enrichment in calculus and to take the advanced placement exam. We don't have Calculus BC as a distinctive course for grade 12, but it is an opportunity for some students to take if they have already done the AB Calculus at their previous school. Calculus and Vectors fulfills the math requirement for commerce and for science programs at university. And data management is, of course, a statistical math course that we recommend for students interested in commerce programs. And you can see we have a range of social science options. And again, you can see that we have advanced placement psychology. So the students have the opportunity to choose whether or not they would like to write the advanced placement exam for psychology. And then the three IB courses, again, ESS is mentioned there because it is a science and a social science, but also business management and global politics. So business management differs from economics because it's a broader based view of business and incorporates not as theoretical maybe as economics is. So incorporates different aspects of business. So you are still looking at finance and accounting, but you're also looking at supply chain management and organizational behavior and human resources management, things like that. And so a more of a global perspective of business. And then the global politics course, I would say the best sort of comparable expression of it would be like a model UN. So there's a lot of current events, discussion, considering the historical impacts and political economy that influence global relations and global trends. So these are some of the academic courses that we offer. And we have students who are taking, you know, their plan is to go into health science. And so they're taking chemistry, bio, math, and like calculus and English, but then they're also taking philosophy and history. So it's an opportunity for students to be able to engage in their academic interests in a different way that isn't as restrictive maybe as some other academic programs. So the other thing that we like to really emphasize in the PRIU program is student life. And again, I fully am aware that this year is very different, and I think our students can talk about that it is different for us to be able to manage student life, but we're excited that our students have been pretty resourceful and really committed to maintaining some kind of student life aspect to our program, even though we're not always able to be together every single day. So some of the opportunities that we have available for our students are continuing on with leadership. We always have a lot of students who come from schools where they've been very involved in either student government or student activities and student extracurricular, like student life. And so we have our own student council in the PRIU program called Webster Council. So we have a house system. I know a lot of schools locally have house systems. And excuse me, the house for the PRIU program is Webster. And so we do have our own Webster Council, and within the Webster Council, they organize activities and events and things throughout the year. And then maybe community service drives, it could be a social activity, it could be athletics and fun activities for the students to do together. So we have that group, and I can give you an example of a couple of different initiatives they have going on. We usually also do a grade 1 buddy activity. So we get partnered with our grade 1 student, the grade 12 students are partnered with the grade 1, and then we do different activities with them over the course of the school year. Then community service is a very big part of our program. Students are required to complete 20 hours of community service to earn their grade 12 diploma. And we want the students to be doing service both in the school and outside of the school and in the community. And there's lots of different opportunities for that. So last year, for example, Mrs. Gentile, who's our PRIU office assistant, she took a bunch of students out to Cedars and they did an activity together. Students who had a spare one afternoon, and they spent 2 hours out doing some stuff. And sometimes we've done things on the weekends together, or we've done a food drive or a clothing drive as a group all together. A lot of our students are involved in tutoring. So there's a lot of demand for tutoring for junior school, middle school students, and a lot of the PRIU students actually do that, not just for service, but actually also as a paid job. So they actually can have a part-time job while they're attending school that they can work around their school hours. And then math mentoring is also another opportunity for our students to do. So that's more specifically, obviously, about math, and they might be just sort of buddied up with somebody and maybe not acting as much as a tutor, but as a sounding board and a different perspective on different teaching different math concepts. And we've also had a lot of students involved historically in coaching. They might be really involved in athletics and maybe not playing anymore, or maybe there's not a team for their age group, so they're coaching some of the younger students. So you can see also we have a lot of different clubs and activities, and basically speaking, any activity that's open to students in LCC is open to PRIU students. So it's not like there are separate activities that are just for the senior school and others that are just for PRIU. Everything is open for all of our students. What is exclusively PRIU is our Webster Council, and we have different groups within that. For example, we have our own green team in the PRIU Webster Council, but there's also a school-wide green team. So as an example, our green team we actually have a greenhouse that's behind the house here that our students have their study area in. And so the PRIU students are looking to plant seeds and do seedlings, and maybe as a fundraiser do a seedling sale later in the school year this year. You can see that we also have opportunities for our students in grade 12 to continue with music. And they continue with music. They can do it as an option where they're doing it as an extracurricular to do some of the jazz combos or some of the chamber music groups, but they can also take music as a 7th course. So they have their 6 classes, academic classes in the program, but if they want to, they can as well take a 7th and get a mark for music if they wanted to continue that on. Lots of our kids play sports, and typically our students are very, very involved in athletics. There's only one restriction for athletics, and that's for senior hockey, and there's an age thing that for that, but otherwise our students participate in lots of sports. Usually at the beginning of the school year, we kick off with what we call the experience trip, where we actually would go out to Jouvence at Mount Orford, and we would spend a couple days out there doing activities and enjoying the beach and kayaking and just getting to know each other. This year we did our activities on campus, and we tried to do some fun stuff, some scavenger hunts and team building activities. And then we do lots of different activities. Last year there was bake sales. This year they're talking about a seedling sale for their fundraiser. And then we've done bowling as a group. We've done laser tag. Since once we moved online, they were doing Netflix house party, movie parties. So the students are still finding ways for them to connect even when we're doing it virtually. And then the last part is everything that's available to our students, again, in LCC is for pre-U as well. And that includes all the things for health and wellness. So we do have personal counselors on site. We've got school nurses. We've had yoga classes that are just for the grade 12 students. We've had spinning classes that are just for grade 12. This year, the students started off, they had the gym a couple days after school where they could play volleyball or badminton together as a group, because the pre-U's are a group. And then we also offer a lot of workshops for the students that aren't just about university advising things, but they're about how you're transitioning into university and adulthood. And so some of the mentions there, we have a lot of alumni speakers, but we've had representatives come in from universities to talk about these are things that you need to look forward to accessing and getting to know on campus. And then also about how to manage your money when you're away from home independently. So that's a pretty big overview, but that's like some of the stuff that we're doing in grade 12. And now I'd like to pass it over to Miss Maggie Owen, who is one of our academic advisors, to talk about academic advising.
Good evening, everyone. So the overarching objective of the academic advising program at LCC is to support students in finding post-LCC options that fit. And so this concept of fit is something we're constantly talking to students about. And what we mean by fit are post-LCC options that students are most likely to meaningfully engage in, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom, or perhaps options like gap years. So our constant drive when we're working with students is we're trying to make sure that whatever they're choosing and selecting is the right choice for them, not basing it so much on brand name, but on scenarios where they're going to be happy, healthy, and thrive. How do we help students do this? So of course we have one-on-one advising meetings where we get to know the student, and that's the more personalized portion of the academic advising program. But we also host group workshops because we know that there are several universities that are very popular amongst our students. So often we'll host group workshops to go through the application together as a team. And we usually also host other workshops about writing essays, how to select the right college related to fit. And we call these UPrep Wednesdays because they tend to happen Wednesdays after school. We set an hour aside and we always invite the pre-U students to come, and we tackle different topics related to post-LCC options, whether it's applications, whether it's gap years, whether it's co-ops, figuring out what internships they want to take advantage of at certain universities. We also have very good relationships with university representatives who frequently come to LCC, sometimes even more than once in a year, to spend time exclusively with LCC students, and on occasion even exclusively just with grade 12 students. We had UFT in here 3 weeks ago, and they just did a presentation for our grade 12 students to help them understand the different parts of their campus and to educate them on their programs and opportunities. And so that's really not unusual in a given year to have about 40 to 50 university representatives across the school year coming and visiting and talking to our LCC students about options, and always relating it back to that fit. And when we talk about fit, we also encourage students to fan that out into different criteria. So we talk about academic fit, geographic fit, where they might want to go, and of course, financial fit, which is something we encourage them to talk about at home right from the start of the process. We also, in previous years, have had Canadian university tours where we all get on the bus and we take 4 days, and we take students to a collection of in previous years, it's been Ontario universities that they found very interesting. We visit the campuses, we talk to alumni at each of those schools. The alumni are always really happy to come and help and speak to our current grade 12 students about their university experience. And so on those Canadian university tours, they have an opportunity to connect with previous LCC students and to ask them about their university experience, as well as to see those university campuses for themselves. It's also a great bonding experience for our grade 12 students. They always come back having learned new things about their interests, their fit criteria, and universities that they're really excited about. So although we haven't been able to do that this year, we have been able to invite a lot of university representatives to come and speak to our students in more detail about those specific universities. We've also encouraged students to join fairs and to do online virtual tours, and then also have interviewed some alumni about their experience at those respective universities to help our students just understand that experience a little bit better, since they can't go there physically this year during this period of time. Of course, we provide lots and lots of resources for students. We have anything from career questionnaires to the Myers-Briggs, to, again, interviewing alumni on certain strategies, how to tackle that personal statement, how to tackle those supplements, how to find your fit. That we're always coming back to that question for students. And the additional support that we give on top of that is, of course, guidance on what the style of college essays require in terms of writing. We also help students maybe whittle down some topics if they're having a hard time figuring out what they want to write about, and provide feedback on their writing as well. We also support and encourage students in applying for scholarships, and we every year provide an extensive list of historically popular scholarships that our students have applied to in the past, and then support students throughout that process as well. So it's a very robust program. It's also a program that supports underlying skills like critical thinking skills, research skills, communication skills, and of course, writing skills. So we're very proud of this program. I know it's a very short period of time that I have to talk about it, but I think those are the biggest things we'd like to highlight tonight, that for us, it's about fit, and it's about supporting students through this process while supporting those underlying skills. So we could go to the next slide, so you can actually see that our students cast a very wide net. So when we talk about fit, you can actually see on this list that there's all types of universities on here in all corners of the world. So we're very proud of this. Our students are very confident in their applications. They apply to Canada, the US, the UK. This year, we also have some students in Spain. I'm not sure if it's on that list yet, but it might be. And so this is what you can expect when you come to LCC in the academic advising program. You get a personalized, supportive process, encouragement to have a diverse list that meets your interests and ideally meets your fit criteria. So we're very lucky tonight to also have the student perspective. I'm going to introduce Carl Kawaja, who's going to talk about his experience in grade 12.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So my name is Carl, and this is my first year at LCC. For the last 5 years, I went to a French secondary school called Regina Assumpta. Personally, I chose LCC because I wanted to get a full university experience, and for me, this meant moving away and living on my own. When I came to this event last year, I had students and I met students who wanted to do the same thing. Therefore, I knew like this program was the right choice for me. Also, when I spoke with students who were in last year's pre-U class, I was told that the academic advisors are super helpful. And now that I'm here, I can say from firsthand experience that this is true. I felt that the academic advisors know very well how university admissions work. I needed academic counseling that could provide me with the resources that would allow me to get into universities outside of the province. Also, I was looking for an enriched and environment and curriculum, and CEGEP did not have the structure I was looking for. After visiting different CEGEPs and speaking with CEGEP students, I felt that LCC was a better choice. Here at LCC, I felt that it was more professional and organized, and CEGEPs didn't seem to have the same enthusiasm about teaching and their students. When I visited the campus at LCC, I met teachers who were eager to teach and students who were excited to learn. I could tell that LCC was like a supportive school and responsive to the students' needs. After spending the last couple months here, I can say that I'm glad I came The teachers have been great. They're accommodating with the stress of applying to university. And there's also a sense of community within the grade 12 program. Even though I was the only student that came from my high school, I never felt alone or left out here. Since the first day, all the students have been super friendly and helpful. This year, I'm taking classes such as economics, psychology, AP calculus, communications technology, and of course, English. I took a wide variety of classes because I have like many different interests and I want to explore these different subjects. Next year, I'm mainly applying to universities in Ontario, such as the University of Toronto and Queen's. The programs that I'm applying to are mainly commerce, business, and psychology. Hopefully my perspective was valuable. Now I'm gonna let my classmate, Lauren, talk to you about her experience.
Hi, and good evening. My name is Lauren Perry, and this is my first year as an LCC. This is my first year at LCC. Before attending pre-U, I graduated from Trafalgar, a small all-girls high school here in the city. My decision to attend pre-U followed a very thorough inquiry into all the alternatives. I believe I approached my analysis from a relatively unbiased point of view, as my mother endorsed the CEGEP system, and my dad, having come from Ontario, heavily advocated for me pursuing a grade 12 option. I looked into and applied to a multitude of programs, including boarding schools, prep schools, and CEGEPs. Having been accepted to everywhere I applied, I deduced that LCC's pre-U would be the best fit for me. LCC has an outstanding reputation, and unlike my other options, LCC offered me the intimacy of small classes, a city environment, and is only a short train ride away from my home. To be honest though, apart from my careful and objective analysis, I also fell in love with LCC a year ago, when I was sitting where you are today, listening to the pre-U students and the alumni and learning from their experiences. I've learned thus far that the process of applying to universities is much more difficult than you would think. Each school requires different materials, a wide array of essays, and there's always deadlines quickly approaching. LCC knows that and puts a major focus on guiding and supporting you through the process, such that you can ensure you will never submit anything that is subpar. Every week, multiple schools visit us, virtually at this time, of course, and talk to us potential future students. The academic advising at LCC was a major reason for my choice. No other post-secondary option or CEGEP offers the same level of commitment to and expertise in academic advising. This year, for the first time, I'm taking a wide variety of social science courses, including economics, history, global politics, math of data management, English, and philosophy. I am enjoying the courses and appreciate my wonderful teachers. As all students have experienced this year, the near future of in-person learning is uncertain. I am fortunate that LCC was able to provide almost 2 months of in-person learning before going to a 50-50 in-class remote learning system. I will say that watching my friends in CEGEP struggle with their new school, all the while being online, made me even more grateful for my choice. It is also important for me to mention that despite COVID and our always evolving hybrid learning, I have never felt that the quality of education I have received has been negatively impacted. LCC provides an organized and structured environment, much like high school, but has the freedom and responsibilities of going to college. And despite being online 50% of the time now, my teachers know me. Even in such a short time, they have been able to adequately assess who I am, what my strengths are, and what I can do to improve upon my weaknesses. Teachers are always available for us to ask questions and make sure that every student is performing their best. I'm applying to approximately 8 schools in Canada, all with a focus in psychology. In the future, I hope to pursue a doctorate in psychology, or I will go to law school. Thank you for your time this evening. I hope you have decided on LCC, as I know you'll be in great hands to transition into university with all that it entails. Thank you.
So thank you very much to Carl and to Lauren. I think it's great to get the student perspective because really they're on the front lines of everything. I'm Dawn Levy. I'm the Director of Enrollment and Communications. And I'm also a mom of 2 pre-U graduates. And at one time in my career at LCC, I was actually the director of the pre-university program. So I do love the whole school, but I have to say that pre-U does hold a very special place in my heart. One of the themes that really has been come up a lot this evening is about the personalized attention and experience that the pre-U students get. And I would say that that's very true of the application process as well. We're a school that really subscribes to a holistic education, and we take a holistic approach to our admissions process as well. And our objective is really to determine whether or not the student is ready for our program and whether we can help them achieve their post-secondary goals. That's really important for us. We are really in the business of challenging students and preparing them to be independent in their post-secondary journey and ready for that. And so as part of the admission process, we endeavor to get to know the students well, not only in terms of their academic abilities and whether or not they're ready for the programs and universities of choice, but also are they emotionally and socially ready, and will they take full advantage of what we have to offer here at LCC, and will they also really embrace the university experience, and are they ready for that? So the application process provides us with an opportunity to make that assessment. But we also realize that, you know, this is a choice for students. There are lots of really great opportunities for students when they graduate from grade 11. They can go to CEGEP, they can go to prep school, and pre-U is one of those options as well, right here in Montreal. And so it's important for us to have a dialogue with the students. So our process involves a sit-down meeting with the students. We meet in pairs. There's a member of the admission office that partners with one of the academic advisors at the school, and we sit down and we really have a conversation with the students. We will review the students' report cards. We will go back and look at academic performance all the way back to grade 9 and up to the most recent report card. We ask for some feedback from teachers who know the students well to give us some insight into who the student is as a learner. And we also ask the student to go through a bit of a reflective process and explain to us why they're applying to pre-U. Part of this process also allows us to have a conversation about university aspirations, and that's really important for us. We are looking for an alignment between what the student is endeavoring to achieve and what their objectives are, and what their academic achievements are, in addition to readiness and contribution to school community, etc. And so we're often asked in admissions, what are the academic cutoffs? And certainly there are academic cutoffs for students, but there's some flexibility there. We know that most universities are looking for a 75 to an 80% overall average, especially in the core subjects and in English. But depending on the student's choices, the academic cutoffs could be even higher. And so when we meet with the students during that admission office meeting, that's part of what the discussion is with the academic advisors, who are really experienced in terms of knowing what the universities are looking for in students when they're applying to the various programs. So really we're looking for that alignment to ensure that this is, to use what Miss Owen said, the right fit for the student. That above all else is the most important thing. And it's our expectation that these students are actually going to arrive with questions for us, because we really want them to feel well informed when they are making their admission decisions. So we don't do any admission testing. If we have any students who are not English speakers, first language, are not fluent in English, we might require a English second language test, not only for our own purposes to ensure that the student is ready and will be successful in our program, but also for university, because we want, again, to make sure that students are well prepared for university after they complete their pre-U experience with us. So in terms of timelines, we are now just beginning to process our applications for pre-university. So someone from our admission office will be in touch with the applicants to schedule appointments for interviews, and we'll also review the applicant's file to make sure that everything is complete. We do set an early application deadline of January 15th. And so long as we have an application in place by then, this means that the student will be considered for the early application and early decisions. And those decisions are communicated by the second half of February. And so that means for students who know that pre-university is their first choice, they will have their answer in hand before the March 1st CEGEP application deadline, which some people might see as advantageous. We also have an annual scholarship competition, and we will be releasing the scholarship questions later this week. So anybody who has applied will receive that scholarship information, and we welcome students and encourage students to participate. Ms. Tulloch will always say there's nothing like free money, but this is really a great challenge for students to stretch themselves and compete for something that will be personally meaningful to them, and also that they will be able to put on their resumes for life. So it's a great opportunity. So those scholarship details will be announced later this week. And again, the deadline is the 31st of January. In terms of financial assistance, we are very pleased to be able to offer financial assistance to LCC students who apply to grade 7 all the way through grade 12. And this is thanks to the generosity of a number of donors to our school who believe that students who merit an LCC education should have access to it regardless of their ability to pay. And so this is in fact homework for our parents, or for the applicant's parents rather. And that information is available from the admissions office. We would be very pleased to provide you with that. And we do endeavor to give the bursary information with the admission decisions, so long as those applications, of course, are complete. One of the things that I did not mention is that I'm often asked the question of how large is the pre-university group, and who makes up that pre-university group. So I did want to mention that we typically have anywhere between 55 to 65 students in pre-university. Some of those students are LCC graduates who are doing the grade 12 program, which is what we're talking about this evening. Some are doing IB, the second year of IB, and some are doing a combination of the two. And the other half is made up of students just like Lauren and Carl, who have come to join us from different schools from across the city, but also from further afield. We often have international students who join us for this one-year grade 12 program as well. So it really it is a whole new mix of students, and what really brings them together is this common goal of going off to university following their pre-university experience. So before I talk about the second part of the evening, I'm wondering if we do have any questions.
So there's been two questions, and there's one that I wanted to address. There've been two. I'll address both of them. One I answered already, but somebody did ask the question about whether or not if graduating from LCC, is it enough credits to be eligible to apply to university? And the answer is yes. So our academic program, like I said, is modeled off of Ontario. So admission to university requires that you have 6 grade 12 credits. And so students are taking 6 grade 12 level courses, English plus their other 5. So they are meeting the requirement for admission. So our students are going directly into 4-year undergraduate programs at universities in Canada and the States and around the world. And just quickly, the other question had been about what does a typical day look like for a student. So we do have a 2-week cycle. So there's a week 1 and a week 2, and the students have their 6 classes, and classes are scheduled from period 1 to period 6. So traditionally we start at 8:20, we finish at 3:20. But a student might not start till 10. And they might finish at 1. And so there's a flexibility in their schedule. They also might have 2 spares in the middle of the day to take breaks. I'm sure that Lauren and Carl can talk about using that time if people want to learn more about it, but it's a flexible schedule similar to the way that it is for CEGEP admission when you're at CEGEP, where they're coming and going. However, our day is restricted to classes being between 8:20 and finishing at 3:20. There's another couple, there's a lot of questions coming in. So do you want me to just keep going? So somebody asked about applying directly to pre-med after graduating grade 12. The answer to that is no. Pre-med is only accessible to students who are graduates of CEGEP. So if that is a particular path, the way that you want to take, you would have to be doing it from CEGEP. Yes, our students are going to McGill. Again, they're going to a 4-year undergraduate program at McGill. They're being admitted into what we call year 0. So similar to students from Vancouver or Toronto or Halifax or London or New York, they're all going into 4-year undergraduate programs. For the IB courses, we do have the 1-year options. Those are individual courses. And yes, that 1 year is enough for those particular classes. The IB diploma, which is the full 6 courses and higher levels and standard levels, which is a bigger thing, that's only accessible if you have been at LCC for 2 years. Academic performance is not the only thing that we look at for admission for scholarships. There's actually a writing component. So we are looking for students to have a particular academic average, but we're also looking at other aspects of the application. It's again, like Ms. Levy mentioned, it's a more holistic perspective on a student that we're considering for scholarship. Yes, you can apply directly to the JMSB at Concordia from our program. We have a number of our students every year who go that way. And then good question, we knew to anticipate this one about the report cards. We know that there's not a report card coming out till January. We are aware of that. And so yes, we will be waiting for those reports. We know that we'll be waiting for those reports before we issue decisions. And we do not have a limit on the number of students that we admit from Montreal or from Quebec or anything. There's no limit to that. The limit is in terms of the full capacity of our program. So that was really fast. Those questions came in hard and fast. Thank you very much. So for universities, LCC is a grade 12 program. So I wouldn't say that it's considered to be higher than CEGEP. They're different. They're different types of credentials that students are using to apply to university. And our students, again, are going into a 4-year university program, whereas a student who's finished their DEC would be going into a 3-year university program, typically, whether that's in Quebec or whether that's in Ontario or at UBC. The student typically would be earning higher it's advanced credit for their second year at CEGEP. So they're just different credentials. I wouldn't actually qualify them as one higher than the other. Any other kinds of questions about admissions or anything or advising? It's also an opportunity to ask questions to our students who are here to talk about their experiences as well. So actually, I'm gonna put the students on the spot. So Lauren, can you tell us what a typical day might look like for you?
Sure. So most of my days, I either have one spare or two spares. So, but every day is different. During like, I mentioned my classes and my thing. And so I normally will have like a class and I'll have a break. If we're at school that day, then I would either go and study, or I might take an extended lunch, take my time, come back, get some work done. I think the spares are such an amazing benefit of this program, because you really, like, you have your brain in work mode and you're able to get so much work done in that time. Yeah.
Carl, do you have anything to add to that? What's your day like?
So usually I'll start at 8:45 and finish at 3:45, but like some days I'll get lucky and I could finish at lunch, or other days I might get lucky and start at lunch. It really it changes a lot.
All right. Somebody's posted a question, an average to be accepted. Like Ms. Levy said, we are looking for particular like averages in a range, but we're not set on a particular like benchmark that, oh, if you don't have this mark, you can't get in. And the reason for that, again, is all about this holistic admission and about the fit. So our pedagogical approach within the academic advising is also part of our admission. It's like the whole sort of theme throughout our program. We want to make sure that we're the right place for the student to achieve their goals. And so that's why we ask the students to write the essay, and also why we interview every student. We want to understand what is their objective. And so it's important for us to have a sense of what their marks are, to see if those marks are in line for meeting their particular goals. So it is, at university in Canada, we use that as a sort of a typical kind of thinking point. If your marks are below a certain average, it's harder, you have less options. And that's just, there are admissions in Canada is based on numbers. And so that's just a reality of what it is. So if a student is coming to us and they say that they want to do biomedical engineering, for example, at McGill is a very high admission average, but they have not had marks that have been in that range, that's not an achievable goal from the program. So we might not recommend that this is the best place for them. So we've had to, that's why we want to interview kids. We want to get to know them and understand. But if a student is saying that they have this particular program that they found and it's at, I don't know, St. FX, and it's a, you need an 80 average to get in, and the student easily is making that, there you go, that's great. That's a totally achievable goal from our program. So we're really looking for fit. Are we the right place for the student to achieve their goals? Students applying versus acceptance. Dawn, I don't know if we'd keep an idea of what our admission rate is.
I would say it's probably a 70% acceptance rate, because I think that the students are who apply to this program are very motivated and usually have done their homework, and they know that this is the right fit for them. It doesn't mean that they all come, but I would say that it's probably a higher acceptance rate than some other grades.
Yeah, and with the interviews this year, Dawn, will be doing them by Zoom?
So yes, we will be doing the interviews by Zoom. And you see this last slide up here is the admissions team. And so all of the applications are going to come through the admissions office actually, and not through the pre-university office or the academic advisors. We work with them directly, but it will be our office that will set everything up. And so it will be, in all likelihood, Ms. Tanzini, who will be in touch with the family and will send a link to schedule an appointment. We use an online scheduler, and so you can choose the time block that best fits for you.
We did have a question about, is there a large number of graduates that attend Canadian universities versus universities in the United States? I just have to say that really varies. We have a pretty big mixture of where the students go. Actually, Ms. Owen and I were sort of comparing notes this morning, having a little chat about what our different students were doing, because there's 3 of us as academic advisors, and so we all have different students doing different things. It really depends on the year. We always have kids apply to the States. I would say that it's not atypical for us to have about 50% of our class applying to the States, but I would say the vast majority of our students are going to university in Canada. And that's pretty, people apply to the States with Canadian schools. And last year, the majority of our kids ended up staying in Canada. We had a few go overseas and things, but the majority of our kids, yes, are going to Canadian universities. And then with international students, we have a lot of different families that are in Montreal for a variety of reasons. And so we have a lot of students who represent a lot of different countries every year. So last year we had some students who went to university in Spain. That's their home country. So we had 2 students go to Spain. We had a student go to Norway for university. We had students go to the Netherlands. And so we've had students who are we have students who go to Korea for university. It's all over the place, and every year there's always a proportion of our class that are international students, whether they've been in Montreal for a period of time prior to attending PRU or they've just come to us for the 1 year. These are really great questions. So we just want to make sure that everybody's sort of understanding our program and what we have to offer. Are there any other types of questions? I want to make sure that people feel that they got all the information before we go off into the tours. The tours are shortly, right? The scheduled tours start in a little bit.
Yep, I'm going to explain how all of that's going to work if we're finished with our questions. So we are offering scheduled tours, and it's actually the students that are going to be taking you on the tours. So they're in pairs, or in some cases there are 3 to a group. And our objective really is to be able to show you the campus. So you're going to be grouped with other families. And so you're going to have an opportunity to see all of the campus almost all of the campus where students, PRU students actually get to go. There are a few spots that we're unable to take you to today. And what we've endeavored to do is also to pair the students so that you have somebody who has more of a social science or commerce kind of course load with somebody that has science. So that way, whoever's on the tour will have their questions answered. And the students are prepared to answer your questions and show you around the school. And I really encourage you to ask them questions about their experience, because you've heard from us about what the program has to offer. You did have an opportunity here to hear from Lauren and Carl, who did an awesome job. But now we're going to be able to expose you to even more students. So I really encourage you to find out what their objectives are, why they came to the program, where they were coming from, how they're involved in the school community, and don't be shy about it. They're ready for you. So you should have been sent if you did sign up, and I see some more questions coming in, if you did sign up for a tour, they leave every 15 minutes. And Lindsay Whitelaw from our admissions team has sent out links to you for a separate Zoom meeting. And the tours will leave on time. So Ms. Tulloch, I don't know if there were any other questions there.
The question is it too late to join a tour?
I don't think it is too late. What I'm going to suggest you do is email admissions@lcc.ca, just what you see at the bottom of your screen there, when we sign off, and we'll try and get you on one of the last tours for the evening. They're running every 15 minutes and there are 4 of them. I think there was another question that might have come in.
Somebody asked about what was the proportion of students coming from outside for LCC. And as you said before, I think it's usually about 50%.
Yeah,
Sometimes
this
more.
year it's a little bit more skewed, but it's usually 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Those are the last ones posted.
Wonderful. So on behalf of everybody on the panel, oh, I see another question that just came in.
Oh, is there bus transportation offered from the West Island?
Yes, we do have bus transportation from the West Island. We have 2 pickups spots. One is at St. Charles and the 20 at the Beaconsfield Shopping Center. And the other pickup and drop off is at Fairview. So normally this year our timetable is a little bit different, but normally the pickup in the morning is at 7 and then the bus leaves at 3:30. And you can opt for one-way transportation. So if the student is very involved in activities after school, then probably the one-way option is a better route. The train works very well. Lauren, I know, takes the train from the West Island, and it's pretty trivial from that part of town. Any other
All right.
questions?
Nope, that was it.
All right, so then on behalf of everybody on the panel, I want to thank you so much for joining us this evening and taking time out of your busy schedules and having more screen time. I don't think that's anything that any of us need more of in our lives right now, but we're lucky that we have this technology so that we can at least bring the school to you. But we are really looking forward to meeting our students virtually and then hopefully very soon in person on campus, and that includes parents too. So thank you very much, everybody, and have a good evening. Stay healthy and safe.